So I've had this tank running for about a year, and I think I've done the filter maintenance on it maybe 1 or 2 times since then. And I think it's time for us to go ahead and crack into that and get it cleaned up. So today I'm going to be showing you how to take care of your canister filter, and without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is find our canister filter. We're going to follow that extension cord that comes out of it and unplug it. Now that we're unplugged, we will lift this valve and remove the hoses. Expect a little bit of water to come out. After that, we'll remove the filter and head towards the sink. Now that we're here at the sink, we can lift the top off by undoing these clamps. Once we have the top off, we're going to let it drain out so that we don't make a mess. And we'll set this aside for now. We'll start taking the filter apart. You'll notice I've got this stacked with bio balls on top. And filter sponges. And more filter sponges. We'll now set this aside. Remember, we don't want to clean things with the tap water. No. Soap? No. Instead, we're going to use tank water. If you don't already have a 5-gallon bucket, get one. And mark it fish only. We will fill this bucket with tank water so we can clean our filter. We'll take these dirty filter pads and we'll put them down in the tank water and just rinse them off really well. Doesn't have to be perfect, just good enough. You're probably asking yourself, shouldn't you replace that? Absolutely not. These things will keep working, and they're a great place for the bacteria to live. Look at that. Once we've done that one, we'll go ahead and do the other two. We're done with this water now, so I'm going to pour it out. And I'm going to set these aside. These are your bio balls. This is where all your bacteria is living. We're going to pour those out. Since all of our bacteria is in the bucket, I'm going to go ahead and rinse this one and the other sponge with tap water. Take care to put these in the correct orientation, as they won't do their job well if you don't get them in the correct way. Now that all that's done, let's go ahead and look at this part right here. This is your impeller. This is a UV sterilizer. This is not on all filters, but it is on this one. And in this case, we don't need to do anything with that. What we'll do next is we'll get the impeller out. On this model, you turn this, lift that out. Be careful, as these are very fragile. If you drop this or twist it in any way, it can break. We'll go ahead and pull out the impeller. Pliers really come in handy for this. Next, we'll inspect the impeller, make sure that it looks like it's in good shape all the way around. This one looks good. We'll take a toothbrush and some water. Just give it a little scrub. We'll also scrub out the inside here. I like these dog toothbrushes. They have a small end and a big end. They're super cheap, easy to find at any pet store. All that stuff. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and take our impeller and place it back in the hole. Make sure that it's seated properly. We'll take our little axle, find the tiny little hole there, slide that in, and just give it a turn. Now that all that's done, we can start reassembling the filter. We want to make sure and put it back in the order that we took it apart. So this sponge is going to go down in first. After that, we'll set this on top. Make sure everything aligns properly. Next, our bio balls will go in. We'll place this back on top of the bio balls. The last filter. And don't forget your screen. Once all that's together, we should be able to put this on top, lining it up properly. Don't make the mistake I just made. This won't work. We're gonna have to take it apart and put it back together the correct way. Now that we're done with that, we'll take it back over to the tank. Once we have the filter back in place, we'll repeat the steps that we did to take it out in opposite order. Placing the hoses back, closing the valve, and you may hear that it's starting to fill with water. Once that stops, we're going to use the prime button, and we're going to push that a few times until we see that the bubbles have stopped. You can see all the bubbles are coming out of the filter now as it fills with water. We may have to add some water to the tank now in order for the filter to keep filling up as we continue to prime the pump. You may notice that stuff starts coming out of the filter. That's okay. That's just stuff that's been stuck in the hoses. We're going to push this priming button a few more times just to make sure that the air is out of the system. And then we're going to go ahead and plug it in. You'll probably notice that air is flowing through the system for a few minutes, and that's okay. On this model, we have an overflow. We're going to go ahead and lift that up so that it can perform its function properly. Now that everything's running properly, it would be a good time to wipe the filter down and put it back where we want it. And that's it. It's probably going to take a couple hours for this to clear up, but at least we know that the filter maintenance is done for a few months. Thanks for watching.